Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotse.com. In this clip, we're going to be taking a look at an example on how to find the equation of a perpendicular line through the midpoint of two given points. The question reads, segment JM has endpoints J, -5, 1, and M, 7, -9. An equation of the perpendicular bisector of JM is... So let's give ourselves a visual as to what is going on here, and then we're going to take a look at the steps that will guide our problem solving process. Okay, so let's say we have a coordinate system like this. This is not drawn to scale, okay? And then we have 2 points. Let's see, a point -5, 1 somewhere here, and a point 7, -9. Let's say somewhere here. So remember, it's not drawn accurately, it's just a sketch. All right, so we have JM. So we have these two endpoints, and we have let's say we have a segment connecting them. So what we want to find is a line that bisects these two, and it's perpendicular. It's basically a perpendicular bisector. Okay, so let's say the midpoint. Let's call the midpoint. Let's call it B. All right. So let's say the midpoint is B somewhere here. Point B. So what we want to do is we want to find a line. Let's go ahead and sketch that line that is a perpendicular bisector of this line that we have right here. Okay, so the line is going to look something like this, right? But in such a way that this side right here is congruent to this side. This is not drawn to scale, but that's okay. And then this is 90 degrees, so it's a perpendicular bisector. All right, so this is the line right here. Let's call it line L. So what is the equation of this line? So first of all, we need to talk about what is needed to generate the equation of a line. So something that you want to recall, very important, that is as follows. All right, so to write the equation of a line, to write the equation of a line, you need, what do you need? You need, you can either have the slope and the y-intercept, or you need a point and a slope, or 2 points, right? So to write the equation of a line, you need, let's keep it in the simplest form, you need a point and a slope, or the slope and y-intercept. Okay, the method that we're going to be using right now is the point slope formula. Okay, if you want to do the slope intercept formula, you have to find the slope, the y-intercept, of course. All right, so we're going to be using the point and the slope situation. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the steps that we're going to use to solve this problem. So the steps are as follows. Number one, we need to find a point on the line. All right, because that's one of the requirements. So find a point on the line. All right, to do this, we're going to use the midpoint formula. All right, using the midpoint formula. All right, so we have one of the requirements. Next thing we need is a slope. Number two, guess what? We're going to find the slope. All right, we're going to find the slope using the slope of a perpendicular formula. All right, there's a slope of a line given 2 points, and there's a slope of a line perpendicular to a segment connecting 2 points. Okay, slope of a perpendicular formula. Talk about that later. All right, and then lastly, we're going to put everything together. We're going to use that information to write the equation of the line. And if you notice, the options that we have, they're all in point slope form. Okay, so we're going to write the equation of the line in point slope form. So we can see the wisdom of using the first formula, right? So if we use the slope intercept form, then it'll be difficult for us to find what the correct answer is. So we actually have to just use the first formula, first ingredients, slope and a point. All right, so we're going to write the equation of a line in point slope form. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, what we're going to do first, let's break up our workspace. We're going to start with part one, which is to find the midpoint. Okay, so let's go ahead. So part one, find the midpoint. Find the midpoint. In this particular example, we just said let's call the midpoint B. All right, just an arbitrary letter. So the midpoint B is going to be, well, first of all, you know what we can do? Let's go ahead and itemize all the formulas that we need for this particular problem. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. All right, so the formulas that we need are as follows. Formulas. Number one, we need the midpoint formula. Okay, so how do you find the midpoint? You just average the coordinates, right? The midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 for the x coordinate over 2, and then for the y coordinate, y1 plus y2 over 2. Bam, bam. All right, so after you have the midpoint, we also need to know how to find the slope formula. So not just the slope of a line through 2 points, but the slope of a perpendicular. All right, how do you find that? We know that the regular slope formula is rise over run, right? But for a perpendicular line, it's the negative reciprocal, so it's negative run over rise. That's the slope of a perpendicular line. So it's going to be negative, instead of y2 minus y1 over x minus x1, it's going to be negative x2 minus x1 over y2 minus y1. Okay? If you don't like this formula, you can just find the slope using the regular formula and then do the negative reciprocal to get it. All right? And then lastly, point slope form of the equation of a line. That's y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. That's what we're going to use for step 3. Bam. All right, so we're good to go. So let's go ahead and find the midpoint B. So to find the midpoint B, we're going to be computing the first formula, x1 plus x2 over y over 2, comma y1 plus y2 over 2. And then use that to find the slope. I mean the midpoint. All right. So this is x1, y1, and then this is x2, y2. If we plug it in here, x1 is going to be negative 5 plus 7 over 2 for the x coordinate, and then for the y coordinate, 1 plus negative 9 over 2. Bam, bam, bam. All right. Simplify it. On the left side, this is going to be 2 over 2, comma, this would be 1 plus minus. We multiply different signs, this is going to be negative 1 minus 9 over 2. So you're going to have 2 over 2 is just 1. 1 minus 9 is negative 8 over 2, which is negative 4. So there goes our midpoint B. Looking good. All right, so next we need to find the slope of that line L that's perpendicular to a perpendicular bisector of this segment right here. All right. Okay, so so for part 2, the slope of a perpendicular, okay, is going to be negative x2 minus x1, negative run over rise, right, over y2 minus y1. So that's going to be x2 minus x2 is 7 minus 5. So minus 5 is going to be plus 5. So plus 5. So negative of that over y2 minus y1. y2 is negative 9 minus y1. Alright? If we simplify it, negative. So don't forget, see this negative right here? Let's put a parenthesis here so you don't get confused. The negative is on the outside. Alright? Okay, so let's move it up over here. So it's going to become, so slope of a perpendicular line is going to become the opposite of 7 plus 5, which is 12, divided by minus 9 minus 1 is negative 10. Okay, you're taking the opposite of the whole thing. So if you simplify that, you have negative. What goes into the biggest number that goes into 12 and 10 is 2. So you're gonna divide that by 2 top and bottom. So you're gonna have negative 6 over 5. How did it become negative? This number in the parentheses, because positive divided by negative is negative. When you multiply, divide different signs, it's always going to be negative. Alright, and you multiply these two signs together, and you get your slope, which is 6 over 5. Bam. Alright, and then part 3 is a piece of cake. We're just going to write down the equation of the line. Alright, the formula is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Okay, m in this case is the m perpendicular, right? M perpendicular that we just found, which is 6 over 5. And then x1 is this guy right here, the point B, which is 1. And then y1 is negative 4. Okay, so this is the point that we're using right here to write down the equation of the line, the midpoint. So put all this together into this formula. We're going to have y minus y1, which is y minus negative 4, equals m 6 over 5 times x minus x1, which is 1. Simplify that a little bit. We'll have y plus 4 is equal to 6 over 5 times x minus 1. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, that's the equation of the line. That's a perpendicular bisector of the segments that goes through these 2 points. Okay, so the equation of this line, this blue line L, is y plus 4 equals 6 over 5 x minus 1. Okay, answer is option number 4. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. I really appreciate it. We want to thank all of you supporters who've been liking and subscribing our videos and putting comments. Thanks for the support. Tons of support resources can be found at mathgotse.com. Do check it out. If you have any questions about what we just went over or any geometry concepts in general, specify it in the comment section below. We'll be more than glad to support you. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.